Sorry for the background. I really tried to make this at the beach. I'm at the beach now. I don't have the tools. The wind's terrible. But today we're here to talk about the Individualist Manifesto that I have created. And I just want to share it with you. It's a Redux. It's a redone of my first one. The first one was a little scattered. I just did it kind of on a whim. But I did want it to be the basis of my thoughts. I wanted it to be the foundation. And it has. So now here are my new thoughts. And I'm going to share them with you now. I think I'm going to do it in different formats.
So the question quickly becomes, what is individualism? Well, here's a definition right here. Individualism is the moral stance, political philosophy, ideology, and social outlook that emphasizes the intrinsic worth of an individual. And when you hear that, you just think, okay, so instead of looking at things as a group, we're looking at the individual themselves. How is this one person affected? And you can see from a business point of view how very ineffective that is. Obviously, you want to care about trends, groups, statistics, all of that stuff. And I get that. When you're a corporation, when you're something large, you can't worry about the individual. But that's not for this. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about an individual's personal belief. What an individual should stand for, how they should behave, how they should act, and how they should look at things. And I think it should be from a stance that I wouldn't want to say benefits the individual, but from a stance that takes into perspective the individual's stance, or at least the individual's place within society. Now, while it's a wonderful definition, I feel like it's incomplete. I just want to add that we should be able to have compassion for our fellow man. It doesn't mean we do what they want us to do or whatever, but we should have compassion. Like, let's say, for example, you're working at a store and you understand someone's story when they're trying to return something because they need money for whatever the reason, but you feel in your heart the compassion. You know you want to do something, but you can't because of the business, because it's against policy, right? You don't have to be an ass when trying to explain that. Show your compassion, like even if they're upset, frustrated, right? You just have to show that you care. Because at the end of the day, that's what people want to know. Do you care? Even though may seem selfish, because to a certain extent it is. They just want to know that you care. So I'm not saying at all be subservient, but I'm saying if you have compassion, you'll be able to deal with a lot of things in your life and have less confrontations. So really what I'm trying to promote is peace and balance. And I feel like the best way to have that is not only to understand yourself and your worth, but to understand the self and worth of other individuals. So that is the definitions in a nutshell. Now let's get into the manifesto. Okay, so let's talk about the first line of the manifesto. You are continuously fighting the butterfly effect. There are known unknowns that you must prepare for. And that's very important. You don't know what's out there in this world. There's so many things that you cannot be aware of. You won't be aware of it. Even the things that you don't know, there's just so many things out there. And that's due to the butterfly effect. Things are always happening continuously in motion. You're just a small part of that effect. So when it comes to life in general, you need to take everything with a grain of salt and on the chin. You must be prepared to always lose but always win. You should go into things confidently, always. But you have to always expect that things won't go your way. That's it. Never plan to lose. Never plan to lose. Just be aware that losing happens. That's really what the first rule is. A way to ease your mind, but not to demoralize you, to let you know that things are what they are, because the universe is infinite and there are things happening without our knowledge every day. It's like Winston Churchill once said, There's something beyond time and space happening beyond time and space. And that signifies duty. What's your duty? 2. Respect those that respect you. Don't confuse annoyance with disrespect. Just because something annoys you doesn't mean that person is being disrespectful. That just could be how the person is. That just could be how they act, how they talk. And maybe it rubs you the wrong way, maybe it makes you feel some type of way. Whatever the reason is, don't let that annoyance disturb you. Be aware of it, of course. Be aware of the things that annoy you and try to ease your mind if you can. But sometimes it's not disrespect. But if it is disrespect, obviously respond how you are going to respond. But don't do anything that's going to mess up your life. I've seen a lot of people do things that have messed up their life recently in order to be respected. And I get it. In this world, what matters the most is your soul. But you gotta make some sacrifices sometimes. So protect your soul at all costs. Number 3. Collectivism is the enemy. Always has been, always will be. Full dependency is the worst thing it can ever be in this life. We're dependent to a fault, don't get me wrong. From childhood, we're dependent on our family to take care of us. And as we grow up, we're dependent on different people for different things. Maybe our friends for our social needs, or our family for our food needs, a lover for our carnal needs, and so many things. But when it comes to full dependency, you never want to be fully dependent on anyone. From your parents, you want to eventually leave the house. From a lover, you want to be able to do other things and not just depend on them. Friends, you don't want to be someone that only lives to serve them, because that's what it is. If you're fully dependent, you're fully servant. You're serving. You have to be serving, because one, you'll have so much gratitude. And I'm not saying you should never have gratitude. Always have gratitude for whatever anyone does for you, because they didn't have to do it. You should always have gratitude. But when you live a life of full dependency, that gratitude becomes so enormous that you can't help but be a servant to them. You truly can't. So it's the worst thing. Full dependency is 100% the worst thing. So try your best to be as independent as you can, but don't lose sight of the people in your life. Okay? So that's number 3. Now, isolation should be used for moments of self-reflection, personal projects, healing, and anything that promotes positive growth. And don't get me wrong, I am well aware of the hypocrisy in that statement when it comes to the healing part, because healing, unless, if it's physical, maybe if it's physical, honestly, healing is going to come with the negative, which is the pain. Whether it's emotional or physical or spiritual, there's going to be pain. So, while it is the path to growth and promoting, better vibes, it is negative. So I'm well aware of that statement. But in essence, I'm saying the same thing. It says the same thing. You should only be alone when you're doing the things that are supposed to help you grow as a human, or at least heal yourself. And it's tough. It's tough because in isolation, that's when the thoughts come out, when you don't have that self-assurance, or you're not assured of what's happening in your life in any aspect. It's tough to be confident alone when you're unaware and unsure of yourself. And that's why I highly promote finding yourself, taking the time for yourself, and just discovering what you like, what you don't like, discovering new things, stumbling upon all these different stuff you would never think about before, even if it's as simple as trying new foods or going to different beaches or even comedy clubs. Just putting yourself out there when you reflect after these moments of isolation is going to promote a better life for you. So I highly recommend that, because I've been doing more things myself, this YouTube shit included, and I feel more positive. If I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would be a lot more negative. No one would see it, but I'd be so much more negative. So I'm grateful for what I have right now. I want you to find the things that you are grateful for, expand upon that, and just continue to grow. That's 4. Number 5. The health of your mind is a responsibility. It's not a privilege. Education of mental health should be promoted within K to 12. But the most important part is the responsibility part. Your mental health, even though you weren't even asked to be born, that's yours. That belongs to you. That will always be you. You cannot give it to anyone else. No one can read your mind. So it's up to you to promote a healthy lifestyle. I truly believe we create our own heaven and hell. And that means it depends on our mind state. If we're positive, we're going to have a positive outlook, a better outlook. Even if it's neutral, it won't be as bleak. Because if you have a negative outlook, if things look dark, that's when we do dark things. And this world has enough darkness around it. That's why we need Tsunami. But honestly, that's why we need more light. Be the light that people don't want to be. Even if it's for yourself, be that light. So that's that. And I will do the other 3 somewhere else.
Okay, now we have number 6. When the individual dies, so does the self, and you become another body. Society is there to help us with our comfort and our growth, but we should use it and not others to build upon ourselves as individuals. It is those that harm others and take from society without replenishing that which are the worst of us individualists. Now, if you think back to the definition of what an individualist is, it's someone that is self-intrinsic and is very in tune with themselves. So you have to be aware that there's going to be the dark individualist and there's going to be the light individualist. And I'm not trying to say that if you're an individualist, you're just going to be purely good. And if you are, you're going to be purely evil. I'm not saying that at all. But the level of compassion you have for others, that's what's going to determine what kind of individualist you are. And that's very important. That's what I'm trying to preach. That's the add-on that I'm having onto the individualist definition. Like, yes, it's good to care about yourself, look deep within yourself, and be a better person for you in this crazy world. But if you don't have compassion, there's too many people I can liken you to. But compassion is necessary. Selfish individualist and others similar follow a different manifesto. It's number 7 than the one that we have labeled. While some principles may be the same, society is seen as a being to be leached off of instead of neutral. Compassion for fellow man is lost or manipulated for selfish gains. So it's essentially the same thing I was just saying. Now, number 8, the most important one and the final one. Of course, subjectivity should be the cornerstone of any individualist modus operandus. But there are also subjective truths that we must consider, including the role of men and women. But one must never give themselves up in order to satisfy another. Let subjectivity explain the facts and logic of a situation only. What you do depends on you. So, essentially, it's saying not to be led by your emotions when analyzing situations. That's the most important part. You can be mad about something, like, let's say irrationally mad. You can be very mad about something and be like, oh, I don't like this, and all that. If you understand the facts and everything, you can be however you want. You're allowed to be mad. You can be mad for a different reason than, even though the logic dictates why you shouldn't be mad. You can easily be mad for whatever reason. Like, that's fine. All that is fine. That's where subjectivity comes in. And that's where compassion also comes in. So when it comes to being subjective, just keep it to the facts. Life is a bundle of subjectivity. Just because there's a lot of scenarios that happen that may seem similar to the one you're about to be in or the one that you are in, doesn't mean it's going to play out the same. You can't bet on the past. You can't bet on other people's past experiences. You can only bet on yourself now. That's the most important thing I want to share. And now we're going to get into the next part where we talk about the topics. Because there's a lot of topics that I feel an individualist should be prepared for, and the nuance that may come with it. So let's get into that segment. And if you like the new angle, let me know. I don't know if I do. Because you see, I'm looking at me right now, but now I have to look at you, but let me know. Okay, welcome back. So I'm here to talk about the concepts individualism will have to face if one wants to be an individualist. And I'm just going to share how I think about them because I've adopted this mindset. I'm going to share what I think about them, and you can have your own opinions, obviously. But I think as an individualist, these are the things you want to follow, or at least you want your mindset to be somewhat like this. So here we go. Cultural appropriation. Now, I'm talking white girls wearing braids in their hair. I'm talking different ethnicities of people different, doing things that are not in their ethnic background, like culturally. And for me, it's when they don't show respect. That's when it's a horrible thing. That's when I would like, yeah, you should not do this. That's cultural appropriation. But if the person is showing respect or not doing anything disrespectful, let's just say neutral, who are we to say what they can do? I remember there's one time there was this white girl with braids at my college. When I went to college maybe a few years back. And I saw it. I thought nothing of it. If anything, I thought she looked good in them. But even if I didn't think she looked good in them, that's her decision. She did it. She's living her life. Who are we to say, oh, it's cultural appropriation. You're just copying black people? No. I mean, our culture may be the ones that utilize it, but every culture has braids. Latino people have braids. Asian people have braids. White people have braids. Now, obviously, different styles. We'll talk about like dreads, right? But regardless, it's just most likely to be on a certain group versus anything else. But that's how I see a cultural appropriation. Something that, unless disrespected, shouldn't be a problem, honestly. And why I say that, ultimately, to wrap it up, is because as an individual, if you value the other individual, as long as they're not hurting you, what should it matter? But their whole argument is that them not knowing about it is what's hurting them. But if they know about it, then they're not doing anything wrong. If they show respect to the culture, what are they doing that's wrong? Exactly. Now, blackface. I can never agree with blackface. As a black person, I just can't. Now, I understand, so the individuals, I understand that there's a country, I think it's Switzerland or Norway. It's one of these countries that have a blackface tradition every year. I think around this time, honestly. And I think it's disgusting. Now, am I going to think that any person that comes from that background is a secret racist that participates in this event? No. Would I be surprised if a person from that culture said that they did this? A little bit, but if they come from that background, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. But do I have to be friends with that person, engage with that person, or anything else further? I also do not have to do that. Just let them be them. While it is disgusting, it's not hurting me. It's not hurting you. They're just being bigots somewhere else in the world. Let them be them. You be you. But obviously, you question the value. Now, racism in general. You shouldn't be a racist. If you're an individualist and you're a racist, you're not an individualist. Point blank and simple. There's actually no leeway for that one. If you're a racist, that means you don't care about the individual. It means you're a supremacist. You only care about your race, which means you're part of a collective, which means you're part of not what I'm looking for. Get out of here. But honestly, gentrification. Now, that's a tough one. That's a little bit of a tough one. Mainly because I've never really learned the definition. Judge me. I don't care. I'm learning now. That's what we have to do in this life. Always learn, continuously. But gentrification is the restoration and upgrading of deteriorated urban property by middle class or affluent people. And then it displaces the lower income people. Now, when I say gentrification, I more so meant that in the food industry. Like when, I guess, affluent people, typically white, but affluent people come, they take over a business, they change it to be, more fast foody, more friendly with the crowd, the white crowd, or I guess the hipster crowd, just more friendly with like people that will buy, more in their range. And it applies to houses too. Our position on gentrification is that there's not much that can be done. In this capitalist society, what can we do? Like, yeah, it's bad, yeah, it's wrong, but if there's a legal basis to it all, you have to fight with the system that we have. And the system we have is, the law, the Constitution, the law by the Congress. Like, we have to play by those rules, but we can always be aware of how fucked up it is. Always. But there's certain things that we have to do being in this society. Those are part of the true truths that I'm talking about. Some things that you just can't deny. Now, abortions. A woman has the right to choose her body. A man has no right. I mean, I can't really say that 100%. I think there's a right for a man to have a conversation with his partner, wife, whatever, about it. I think the man has that right to have the conversation. I think you should never deny a man that conversation. But I do not think at all the man has the right to tell her yes or no. He can be like, I don't want you to do this, or I would want you to do this, fine. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it depends what she does. Now, most guys may be worried, oh, well, what if I don't want it, and then she wants it, and then I have to pay child support and everything like that? Like, no. If you firmly express your, how much you don't want it, and she firmly expresses how much she does, get something in writing, talk about how, hey, if you have this baby, I'm not going to help out in any way at all. Have her understand that. I'm sure she'll understand that. And then that's it. Go separate ways. Don't live together. I don't know what you got to do, but you just have to get something in writing to make it sure. So if, God forbid, she goes back on her word and tries to sue you for child support, you got something in writing. That's what I'm going to say about that, because ultimately, I do firmly believe it's a woman's right to choose, 100%. Whether she wants to keep the baby or not, it's 100% her choice. Now, are there circumstances where it's going to be fucked if she doesn't tell you? Yeah, 100%. But it's still her right to choose. You have the right to the conversation, I believe that, but the decision is not. It's not yours. Now, let's talk about sexuality. You should never use your sexuality or any part of yourself as a weapon. That's essentially that. Who you are, what you do, that's fine. And in sexuality, honestly, it's important because it already places you in a group in this world. If you're LGBT, you're most likely going to be with LGBT community members. And in hetero, it's the same. It's two sides, just like man and woman and all that. It's very cut and dry. So when it comes to hetero and homo, you are to some degree gonna have to be part of a community, and that's fine. Just don't lose yourself in that community. Don't make that community you. If the community is a part of you, that's fine, but don't make it you. Just like how people are mad at frat bros for their whole personality just being like smashing women and drinking. The same thing can be said about anyone that's gay and then they're just talking about smashing and drinking, right? You feel what I'm saying? Like, same energy. Don't make your sexuality your personality. Now, millionaires. It's going to be controversial, and maybe it's because I want to be one myself, but who cares about millionaires? I agree. They're taking up a lot of the resources. Many of them can be greedy, and it's tough in this world when they don't pay taxes and we have to suffer with inflation and all that shit because of it. Yes, to tell millionaires that they should pay for most things to try to siphon out the money that they've made. Because some of them worked really hard to make it. Some of them have, and some of them have not. But just because we are, unfortunately, in a lower position, it doesn't mean we should force other people to give us money. Is that how you want to make your money? You want to make it off of someone else's back? Because that's essentially what you're asking for. If you ask for reparations, if you ask for gratuity, if you ask for anything from the rich that's not, that you just can't have access to, unfortunately. Like, if they get taxed, it's going to be because of the penal code. It's going to be something in the law that forces them to pay more money. It's not going to be just because you feel that they have too much money. Because I hear that argument a lot. Like, yeah, if they have a lot of money, they have a lot of money. Some are lucky, some are not. Some deserve it, some don't. It is what it is. But we'll focus on your station. Focus on making yourself better. Don't worry about them. Worry about you. That's kind of how I see it. Now, sexual freedom, I feel like it's the same thing as sexuality. But I think we're mostly talking about the women movement. How women are more sexually free than they were back then. Because that's facts. That's a factual thing. Back then, women were very quiet, reserved, forced to be quiet and reserved. That was like the norm back in pre-2000s. Now, with the movement and all that, there's like a revolution. Women are more open. We have stuff like OnlyFans where women can post their body, make money, and call it a day. You know, it's a sexual revolution. The sex is less taboo. It's introduced more so in media than it ever has been before. And that's just the world we live in. A big part of being an individualist is accepting the facts as they come. So you have to accept that, yes, this is a sexual revolution. Yes, women are more promiscuous. Women are showing themselves off more. We glorify the woman's body a lot more than the man's body. We have been since the beginning of time, from art to mosaics to statues, any form of art. You can see it now in like YouTube's algorithm. If you have a beautiful woman, you're more likely to get more views than anything else. So it's a part of life. It doesn't mean women are commodities. Their bodies can be, of course, but it doesn't mean they are. Very important. Next is the Me Too movement, and it's a movement that I just want to say has been abused. Not that it was started off with those intentions, but just like with Black Lives Matter, and just while the intentions may always seem good in the beginning, there's either a history or something. There's always going to be someone or something that's going to ruin it, take advantage of it, and make it their own, manipulate it, essentially. Again, facts of the life that we have to accept. But the Me Too movement was an excellent movement that got a lot of these disgusting, creepy men exposed, and they needed to be exposed. An individual has the right to say whatever the fuck they want. I am a big believer in free speech, but I'm not a big believer in a lack of consequences. You can't say whatever the fuck you want and expect nothing to happen. So if you're going to say stuff with as much seriousness as the Me Too movement, you 100% need to make sure that you are ready for any consequence and backlash that comes your way. That's what being an individualist is. If you know in yourself this is what you want to say, you say it, and you accept everything. Take it on the chin. And last but not least, the American legal system. I did mention it a little bit, but ultimately, it's part of the society that we live in, this American legal system. People utilize it, people weaponize it, people hate it, people love it. It's a part of it. And there's different groups in society that are going to have different relationships with the law. This is ours. Ours is that it exists. Be aware of its existence, be aware of how it works. Always do your best not to take cases that you know you can't win. That's just advice from me, personally. Because it's costly. You don't want to ever be sued. You don't ever want to be in a position of being sued. You just want to pay whatever you got to pay and get out. Make life easy for yourself. Because once you're in that system, it's tough to get out, truly. So that's it. Those are some of the main concepts I feel like every individualist should at least have like some foreground knowledge on. I hope I was able to help. And yeah, let's go on to the next segment, unless this is the end.
So why am I talking about this now? Why do I care so much about individualism? And why do I want to promote that to the world? Well, it's a trend that I'm sure a lot of you are aware about. I've talked about it on my channel numerous times, but it's the Red Pill movement. And that movement has been going strong for the better part of 2+ years now, at least from my knowledge. And this movement is disgusting. As simply as I want to say it, I find it disgusting, but let's stick to the facts. The Red Pill itself is a collectivism group. which means that to join, you gotta be able to play with the big dogs, do what they do, move how they move. That's how you have people who used to follow Andrew Tate's War Room. That's why you have the people that follow Fresh and Fit. That's why you have the people that follow the Unfiltered podcast. Like all these different groups and stuff, you have a manosphere. I don't even want to say it's a manosphere, but it is populated by men. You have a group of individuals that want to go back to traditionalism, back when women were more subservient to men, when they had less freedoms, and when it came to being promiscuous, men were allowed that privilege. If a man cheats, it's whatever, fine, they'll fix it, go to couples therapy, whatever. But if a woman cheats, that's it. End of the marriage, it's over. She's an adulterous whore, stuff like that. But it's supposed to be based off of Christian values, so it has a religious base as well. So for me, that's already a red flag. If you have to base off your ideology from religion, and it's not even religious at all, because they're talking about running girls like they're objects, looking at them as their objects, saying when you're past 20, you're past your prime. They want to immortalize the body. All they care about is the body. It's like, it's not even about how the girl is, how she's doing. It's just sex on demand if I can get it. It promotes a lifestyle where the man is acting as if the other person is not a human, as if the woman's not a human. And that's why I find it very disgusting, because it looks at a woman's commodity, a woman's value as her beauty, which makes the woman herself a commodity. And that the man's value is what they do in the workforce. And while I want to agree with the red pill on all of the motivational shit they say for men, like to work out, get your paper up, have more confidence, find skills that that you can do. Like they do promote a decent lifestyle or motivational base for men to build themselves upon. But what they layer it with, what they ice it with, is all of this rhetoric about how whorish women are in this day and age, how you can't trust a woman just for posting scandalous or maybe revealing pictures on the internet, how you have to just judge people based off of their appearances right off the bat. It's a very combative arena, to say the least. So when it comes to the red pill, I'm very against it. I would like to promote a lifestyle where if you feel good about what you're doing in your life, and you can evaluate everything rationally, even if it doesn't benefit you, it doesn't have to benefit you. Life's not going to benefit you all the time, but if you can think about things in a way where you know your position, your status, and you move not accordingly. There's no accordingly in life, but you move in a way that benefits you but doesn't harm other people. Why would you not want to do that? Now, I get it. The easiest way to jump up to the top like Neon and Jack Dorothy is to harass and embarrass and degrade other people and all that shit. I understand. But how's your soul gonna feel? Huh? What if you fuck up and then you go to jail like Johnny Somali in another country because you were just fucking around and you just wanted to have so much fun with these people that don't even know who you are, can't even speak your language, and now you're locked up in their jail for how long? So it's shit like that you really gotta consider. What's the value of your soul? Huh? What's your value? Forget society. What's your value to yourself? Can you talk to yourself and have a conversation that's going to be beneficial? Those are the questions. So that's why I think I need to promote this idea. I want more people to adopt it. And if anything, at the very least that I want someone to take away from this video is that you are worth more than what you think. And I'm proud of you just for getting this far in life. Because life's not easy. I don't care if you're a kid. I don't care how old you are. You got here to this point in time. And I'm very proud of you. Don't stop. Keep on going. All right. So that's that segment /
Thank you, everybody, for watching this. This is my thoughts, my feelings, my ideas, my experience. This is everything that is Tsunami, Stefan, into this video. I hope you truly hear what I'm saying. I don't need you to agree with me. That's definitely not what I want. I just want you to hear it, and at the very least, as I said before, understand it. And if I can reach one person, I know people say this shit all the time. It's annoying. It's annoying, I know, but if I can just, if any person can feel something good about what I did and motivate themselves to higher elevations, why would I not be happy? I don't even need to know that person. Truly, I don't. But if I can feel that just one person is going up there because of what I said, I did my job. But I do want to, again, say thank you to everyone who's watched, everyone who's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And we have more stuff coming out. So follow us for 2024. And Happy New Year. Please, let's make it the best year we can. I know I plan to. I know I got to. And I wish you luck, okay? With that being said, this is Tsunami shining out for the new year. Peace.